why you should never summon the Midnight Man. If you don't know, the Midnight Man ritual is where you summon an entity known as the Midnight Man, and the goal of the game is to survive the night. Otherwise, there are consequences. So this story is about a girl who summoned the Midnight Man and did not properly follow the rules. We're gonna call her Elena. Elena did not believe in these rituals or these paranormal games, but she decided to summon the Midnight Man. So she went through all the rules, she pricked her finger, she wrote her name on the piece of paper, she has her candle and her matches ready, she knocked on the door 22 times, the last one being at midnight, just like the rules say, and she was ready to start the game. She has her lit candle, and she's gonna start walking around. So the rules are that you have to keep moving and you cannot let your candle go out. If your candle goes out, you have to relight it within 10 seconds. And if you can't get the candle relit within 10 seconds, you have to go sit in a circle of salt and pray, basically. So about 12:37, her candle flickers and then it completely goes out. So she's rushing to light a match, because you have to use a match to light the candle. She's rushing to light a match to get the candle back lit, and she can't get it to light. Finally, about right at the 10th second, she gets it relit. At this point, Elena says that her apartment went completely cold and completely silent all of a sudden. The refrigerator wasn't even making a noise. Like the hum that it makes, it was doing nothing. It was silence, creepy, eerie silence in the apartment. So she continues the game a little bit longer, and then about 1 something, her candle goes out again. But then she realizes her matches are missing. She can't find them. They're gone. She panics because she has nothing to light this candle. She hurries up and runs to do her salt circle, and she pours a really sloppy salt circle really fast and gets in it. So she's sitting in her shitty salt circle, and it's pitch black because I don't think I mentioned, you have to have the house completely dark. The candle is the only light you're allowed to have. And so she's sitting in her shitty salt circle with her candle, and she can't see very far because the candle doesn't illuminate that far, but she starts hearing footsteps. At first they're soft, like bare feet on hardwood, and then they get harder and kind of louder, like more aggressive, and they're circling the salt circle. And she's freaked out because she can't see anything, but she can hear these footsteps, and then she hears breath. And after she hears a breath, she hears someone whisper, "You didn't finish knocking." And at this point, she's actually terrified because remember, she wasn't afraid of this. She thought it was just a joke at first. And then after this, she's thinking, she's like, I didn't finish knocking. I know I knocked 22 times. And I know I did the last one as the clock hit midnight. And then it said, "You let me in too early." Right when she heard this, her candle blew out again. And she screamed. And that's when she realized that maybe this ritual was not just a joke. And she also realized that now she's got an entity in her home that she allowed in, called in. Probably gonna need to get her house cleansed after this, and maybe she shouldn't do any more paranormal games.
You guys have been asking me for a scary story time, so I'm here to share 2 of them from my childhood. I'm sure most of you guys remember those viral ghost games like Bloody Mary, the closet game, Piggy Piggy. In grade school, I had a friend that was super into that stuff, so every time she would come over to my house, she would want to play these games. So the game consisted of having a matchbox, going inside of a dark closet, closing the door, and repeating, "Show me the light or leave me in darkness," over and over until you heard a whisper, and then you light the match and get out. I remember saying it over and over and over, and nothing was happening. I tried to leave the closet, but my friend locked me in there. I started saying it again, and then I started to feel this cold breeze go down my neck. At this point, I'm like jiggling the door handle, like asking my friend, please let me out, but not trying to be loud so my mom hears and I get in trouble. And then I started to hear a whisper in my ear, and I just busted the door down. I forgot to light the match, I forgot to say goodbye, I just ran out of there. After playing that game, my room officially became the coldest room in the house. It didn't matter how much you turned the heat up, it was always so cold. Almost every single night, I would wake up around 2 in the morning and I would just see my door slowly opening. I asked my mom if I could take my closet door down, and she did. We ended up hanging up a cute curtain so it could just fill in the space. But now I'm waking up every night to the curtain just slowly opening. Eventually I took the curtain down and I started sleeping with all the lights on in my room. And I actually continued to have paranormal experiences afterwards throughout my adulthood. And I'm wondering if it had something to do with that. The second story actually takes place at school. One day on the playground, this same friend suggested that a bunch of girls go into the bathroom and try to do Bloody Mary. Why was she trying to get the whole class possessed? We all went into the girls' room. Just to give you an idea of how it was set up, it was like 10 or 15 stalls going this way and then 10 or 15 sinks and mirrors on the other other side. Everybody stood in front of a mirror and one of the girls turned the lights off. This was before they took the light switches, y'all. And all in sync, everybody was saying, Bloody Mary. And then it just suddenly got silent and I started to see something manifesting in the mirror in front of me. I assume other girls in the group ended up seeing something too because a bunch of them started screaming. And when the light switches went on, the girl to my right actually had scratches going all the way down her arms. The way they were placed, it was not possible for her to do it to herself. Everybody ran out of the bathroom crying and screaming, but I was just frozen, stuck there. I remember hearing this wet dripping noise and all of the stalls just started slamming shut one by one and I ran. Teacher didn't believe that none of us did that to her, so we actually all got sent to the principal's office. You really think the principal's gonna believe a bunch of girls saying that a ghost did that to the other girl? I still don't know what the fuck happened that day. But I can tell you, do not dabble and play with that stuff because it's actually real. If you go out seeking that type of shit, it's gonna find you. The crazy thing is, I don't have too many memories from when I was a child, but all of these things stuck because they were that traumatizing to me. And that's just my experience with playing 2 of those games. I have a ton more to share with you guys in the future. So like I said, don't play with that stuff. It's not worth it.
Terrifying cursed games you should never play, Part 2. The Man in the Fields game. If you win this game, you will be granted physical and financial protection for an entire year. But if you lose, the consequences could be dire. To begin this game, you must summon the Man in the Fields. To do this, you'll need to go into your backyard with a lantern and ask 7 times, but who will scare the crows away? If you hear nothing after the 7th time, then the summoning has failed and the game is over. But if you hear a voice in your head saying, that's not your biggest problem, the game has begun. At this point, the first thing you'll need to do is go into your house and find a room with only one door. You'll need to close everything in it that can be closed. This includes drawers, bags, etc. This will be your safe room. Once you leave this room, you will find that everything that can be opened in your house will be open, and your job is to close all these items again before the clock strikes 12. If you see a shadowy man in your peripheral vision, ignore him. He's not the one you should be worried about. However, if you look at the backyard at all, even accidentally, you'll need to return to your safe room immediately and remain there until 6 a.m. Otherwise, you'll be caught by the Man in the Fields. Finally, once you have closed everything else in the house, close your eyes and keep them closed until 6 a.m. This will end the game. Comment whether or not you would play this game, and follow for more.
Want to get creeped out? Let's keep talking about the creepiest games and rituals that people play. Coming in at number 5 is called the closet game, and you can have a friend for this one. In this one, you're summoning a demon. Sounds fun? Why would anyone want to do this? I'll never do any of these, but moving on. You do risk being possessed in this one or being dragged to hell. So how do you do it? You get in your closet with some matches and you say a specific phrase that I'm not even going to say in my house. You hear anything, you light a match and get the fuck out of there. After which, you should never open your closet door again without the lights on. Demon now calls it home. Coming in at number 4, we have the elevator ritual. For this one, you find an elevator and go up and down and continue doing that until a creepy old lady gets on the elevator with you. It says in the terrifying moment that she does appear, make sure you acknowledge her. At that point, you can take the elevator up to the 10th floor. At this point, you will have the chance to forfeit the ritual, but if you get off of the elevator and onto the 10th floor, you'll actually be entering into a different dimension. The lady will ask you where you're going, just ignore her. At this point, you can explore the alternate dimension, and when you're ready, get back to that elevator and follow the same steps to get back to this dimension. Coming in at number 3, we have the midnight game. In this one, you're essentially inviting a ghost into your house and having him chase you around in the dark for 3 hours. Sounds like fun. Also, this ritual begins with you pricking your finger for some blood, so if you don't like that, then this one's not for you. You follow the steps, which end in you opening a door to let the midnight man in, and the game begins. It's basically like a game of tag, but with dire consequences. You just have to keep moving around your house in the dark with a candle, I believe. You don't want the candle to go out. And as long as you do that and don't hear anything or see any ghostly figures, you should be all right. Coming in at number 2, we have the infamous Bloody Mary. I'm not gonna lie, every time I get up in the middle of the night to go pee, I think about this. And I start thinking it in my mind, like, you know when you don't want to think about something, so you just think about it? And then I'm thinking to myself, if I think it, is that the same as saying it? Am I gonna see something creepy or scary? And I just get the fuck out of there and back in bed as fast as possible. Anyways, I'm pretty sure you all know this one, but you say her name a few times in front of the mirror at night and she's supposed to appear and try and kill you. She might strangle you, scratch out your eyes, or steal your soul. Coming in at number 1, we have hide and seek alone. But it's not alone. You play it with a doll. So Before you play, you'll remove the doll's stuffing and fill it with uncooked rice and one of your fingernails. After which, you place it in water in either a sink or bathtub. Then you have to go seeking for an inanimate object, specified in the instructions. Then you will stab the doll, pour salt over it, and give it a turn to find you. And you hide from the evil doll demon. I think not. Follow for creepy stories, creepy folklore, mythical creatures, and your local lesbian telling them. See you next time.
Have you heard of the elevator game? If you've ever played scary games as a kid, you might have come across the elevator game. We all know Bloody Mary, Charlie Charlie. It's a very similar game to those. When I was a kid, I was always horrified of elevators. I was scared they were gonna fall. I was scared that I was gonna get locked in. I was scared that they were gonna shoot out of the ceiling like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. It was a real fear of mine. And then one day, me and my friends were on the internet and we were looking at scary games and we stumbled across the elevator game. I'm gonna tell you guys the rules of the elevator game, but under no circumstances can you try this game. Me and my friends read the rules. Rule number 1, you have to go into an elevator of your choosing completely alone. Number 2, the elevator has to have at least 13 floors. Then you press the button for floor number 7. Then you press the button to the 4th floor and then the 8th floor. And you have to push all of these buttons in order, but the order is 748-25169. Then at some point, a woman will get on the elevator. When she does, do not talk to her, do not even look at her. And then supposedly, if you do this game right and you don't look at the woman, then the next time the doors open, you'll be in a whole nother world, completely alone. When me and my friends heard that, we're like, we've got to play this game. A whole world just to us? That's awesome. We decided that we had to play, so we headed to the nearest hotel, and then we had to decide who to send in. We decided to draw straws to see who would go, so we all, one by one, picked a straw. And lo and behold, I picked the shortest one. This is why you shouldn't play scary games, part 2. The last thing I told you is I had to go in the elevator. I'm gonna tell you about it while I take this off. Let's see how well Just Beauty takes this off. My heart was pounding as I pressed the first button, but nothing happened. Actually, the elevator didn't even start moving until I pressed the last button, and then the elevator started to go up. The elevator went up and then stopped, and the elevator doors opened. And that's when a woman walked in. I was terrified because part of me didn't think that it would actually work. And the other part of me was definitely hoping it wouldn't. She was dressed in all white and had a hood covering her face. I almost said something to her out of habit, but then I remembered the rules to the game. Don't talk to the woman under any circumstances. So I didn't say anything, I just took a step back, and then she spoke. And what she said chilled me to the bone. At first she just said, "Hey," but then she asked, "Can you please help me?" Have you heard of the elevator game? Part 3. So the last thing I told you is the girl in the elevator started asking for my help. So there's 2 different things that can happen if you don't talk to this woman. Number 1, the elevator can start going down to 1 where you started. If that happens, you're supposed to exit immediately and not look back no matter what. The other option is the elevator starts to go up, which means you're allowed into the other world. There's a lot of debate on what happens if you do talk to the woman. Some people say that she'll attack you, and some people say that she'll follow you home. But one thing's for certain, I don't suggest you try finding out. So everyone's dying to know what happened to me that day after I saw the woman. I did as I was told and I did not speak to the woman, and then the elevator started going up, which meant I had made it to the other world. I was excited but also scared, so I closed my eyes until I heard the elevator's doors opening. When I opened my eyes, the sky was dark and I wasn't in a building anymore. I walked outside and looked around, but there was nobody else there. And then I saw a man in the distance facing the other direction. He must have heard me gasp because he turned around toward me. But you guys, the man had no face. I turned around and ran back to the elevators before the doors closed, and I went back down to my friends. And that's why you should never play the elevator game.